At this time in our meeting, we'd like to welcome our guest speaker, Karen Ziegler. Karen has been an activist for decades. She formed an indivisible group in 2017 called Tuesdays with Tillis, and that group endures now, known as Democracy Out Loud. Karen's going to talk to us today about the activities of that group and what it takes to create and maintain a sustaining presence as an indivisible group. So let's all welcome Karen.
Yeah, I just really want to thank you for everything that you've done so far. And I'm so hoping that our experience can energize you, really. That's what I want to do today because what you're doing is amazing. And I also want to say something about SNAP. The reason why we have people who need SNAP, I know you all know this, but we have a minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, and we have an economy that was built on slavery. So our entire economic model is some people have a whole lot of stuff and money and live in the big house, and other people labor for nothing, essentially, and need to get food stamps and Medicaid to survive. There's a real danger in the activist community because we're the people that really feel it when people are hungry or getting locked up. There's a real danger that we slip into the charity model because we do have stuff. And the charity model is based on we have stuff and you don't. We have to figure out a way, and I'm not telling you I know this way, but I know we have to figure it out. We have to figure out a way that we come from a solidarity model and that we come from a political education model. Because probably the most important thing that we need to do is not give out food, but be pressuring people in Washington because this is ridiculous. They do have, we had two judges who just said this. They do have the emergency money. Trump is starving people on purpose to pressure the Democrats and blame the Democrats. And of course, we know the shutdown is not the Democrats' fault, but hunger is being used as a political weapon now. And the most important thing we can do is amplify the message that this is not all right, that our entire economic system is not all right. Putin is the richest person in the world. And Trump aspires to that. And what it is an extractive model where all the grift is coming, the money is coming from us, from poor people, from working class people, to the wealthy, to the billionaires, and to Trump himself. So we need to call them on their shit. And yes, we need to help our hungry neighbors. And I also think that people who may be less inclined to be activists than we are may need to be drawn in to solidarity by helping people who are hungry and learning what their lives are and learning that they're no different from us. So that's just my soapbox because I think we're right at the beginning of this national crisis. Um, and we have to figure out how to do it in a way that promotes solidarity and system change. We gotta change the system, or the grift will just continue. So sorry, I hadn't anticipated saying that, but I worry a little bit that you're all going to wear yourself out with trying to feed people, and there is no way that the private sector can make up for the money from the government. No way. So don't wear yourself out on it. Do what you can and spend your time trying to change the system, pressuring the people who need to be pressured. So we never started, we never planned to start an organization. Democracy Out Loud. We're now in our 457th continuous week. We just, I signed up with someone I didn't even know because Move On wanted someone to have a protest at the federal building about Trump's nominees for his first cabinet. I didn't know this woman. She didn't know me, but we just kept waiting for someone else to sign up. No one signed up. So there we were in front of the federal building. Okay. And then what we found was every single week there was something to protest. And then what we found was that when we kept showing up week after week, angry, freaked out, grieving, we felt better after we had been marching around the federal building for an hour together and chanting and singing. And so we became a community. And, we don't, we're not a 501 organization. We don't even have a formal leadership team that's formal. We don't have anything formal. We have nothing in writing. We have no money. We're just a community of people that are passionate about what's happening in our country and protecting democracy. So I thought that it might be fun to go through our history a little bit. So because I think if you see us doing these things, you might catch sort of what it meant to us to just keep showing up week after week, which I had not planned to do, but every week during the first Trump administration, there would be something to be really upset about. So I'm going to share this slideshow. Let's see if I can do it because I'm not very tech savvy, but you can see that, I bet, right? Yes. Let's see. Let's move this over a little. Okay. So we just started marching around the federal building and okay, how do I guess I need to um continue to share. Okay. Okay. You can see it. So we had an effigy of Tillis. It's in our basement now. And Tillis was a big focus for us. You know, where's Tom Tillis? And we were called Tuesdays with Tillis. We had a lot of costumes, healthcare. You know, the more things change, the more they remain the same. We were trying to get the Congress not to repeal Obamacare. Healthcare was, this is Mary White. I think she's one of the people responsible for the expansion of Medicaid in North Carolina. So yeah, a lot of us, a lot of what we did was around healthcare, especially at first, because um, the Republicans were trying to end. That was a big thing they were doing. And then we got involved with DACA, with the kids, the Dreamers, and they came and did some protests with us. They were amazing. They did an absolutely beautiful die-in with us. Um, they really, really inspired us. There's the die-in. These were people who had died trying to immigrate. I love that sign there on the left. And so, you know, every single week we would march around, chant. The grannies sang most weeks. We studied together. We studied the Mueller report, the entire Mueller report together. Some of that was on the street. We were on the street every week, no matter how cold or wet or hot it was at the federal building. And we had a lot of environmental activists among us who came, pipelines, the climate change. Yeah, we have a lot of environmental activists in Democracy Out Loud. And then, of course, the tax scam, first tax scam. So we also did some other things. We sponsored a rally in Durham with Jean Nickel. There you see Lady Liberty. She was always with us. And he's amazing. We would march around the side of the building where Tillis's office was and scream at him. We often went to Washington, D.C., some of us. You know, back then we were talking about the 25th Amendment, which we need to be talking about more probably. Back to the tax scam. This is a group picture one week. Yeah, another costume. I love that one. Um, yeah, and there we have. Well, I'll show you that in a minute. We talked about common sense gun laws, a lot about immigrants because even then things were bad with the Trump administration. Closed the camps. There were camps then. Protect abortion. That was a real passion. U.S. out of our uterus. You know, and you can see a lot. Oh, shredding the Constitution. That was already happening in the first Trump administration. America's threat is in the Oval Office. Yes, we had three women who dressed as uh, suffragettes around women's reproductive freedom. Yeah, so great, so great. Oh, and this is the Grim Reaper about the global gag rule. A lot of people died, women died from the global gag rule that Trump put in the first time. And sometimes when Indivisible or Move On wanted rallies at night, we did that in Raleigh. We didn't do that a lot, but some of those were really huge rallies. This is all during the first Trump administration. I think that was probably 2017 or 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18. 18 week number 149, around 3.5 years in. Oh, Thomas Farr was someone, a federal judge that Tillis voted for, and we went to DC to lobby against him. Kamala Harris gave us really expert advice, told us who to talk to, and we did manage to stop with the NAACP, Thomas Farr's appointment to the federal. Yeah, we had little glasses that said 100 for our 100th week. This is not in order. We went to DC for a huge convention of the Poor People's Campaign. We went to Capitol Hill. Poor people testified in front of Congress. Congress just doesn't talk about the working class and the poor. This is also a problem with the Democrats, not just the Republicans. We went to El Paso to protest the camp there, the detention camp and in El Paso. We were planning to be arrested, but they called that off at the last minute. This was the protest there outside the camp there. It was very energizing. This is one of our last weeks, and the people in the federal building made us take down that effigy of Trump. And then this is in the Hart Senate office building during the impeachment hearing. Okay, let's see. I want to stop the share, stop sharing. How do I do that? Okay, please stop sharing. Great. Okay, thanks. Okay, so that was us on the streets for 3.5 years, and then we went to Zoom because of COVID. Really, many of us were elderly, and we wanted to protect each other from infection. But Zoom has been wonderful because you can hear each other, and it's not raining, and it's not cold, and it's not hot. But also it's easier to get people to come to a Zoom than to come to a protest. So. I think that protesting together, whether it was in Raleigh or in Washington, was such a community building thing. We felt like we went through something together. And I think the most important thing for us is that we are a community, that we have become a stronger and stronger community as we've gotten to know each other and as we've taken action together. There's David Anderson, one of our great environmental activists who was on the street with us, and Randa, my partner. So, lesbians aren't that comfortable with the word wife, but she is my wife. So, I feel like we've done three things in our time together, maybe four, but we've taken action together on the street and in other places. We've educated and supported each other. Like, really, the experience of taking action together is so supportive and so energizing. And I just can't emphasize enough that every single week we would arrive going, oh my God, this is so terrible. I'm so depressed. And at the end, we always felt, even if it is cold and rainy and wet, and we were lugging around the signs, and we always felt so much better just from being together. Every week we would write letters to Senator Tillis and then Senator Budd, and we would all sign the letters. In the beginning, Senator Tillis's office let us in to bring the letters in and talk to them. That ended very soon. Now you can't even leave a letter in the front of the building. And both of our senators are like that. It's incredible. You have to mail the letter to the senators. Something that I think has really helped us is that we've never expected everybody to do the same thing. We've always been an indivisible group from early on, and indivisible would tell us to do this or tell us to do that, and we didn't always do it. In fact, most of the time we didn't do it, especially then because Leah and Ezra were really out of Washington. They didn't really understand the South. They understand it much better now. But they would tell us to do things that didn't make any sense to us. And what made sense to us was marching around the federal building every week and educating ourselves and each other about what was happening and how to take action. Yeah, the thing is, we just all have to keep taking action. And even if it's just calling our senators and our House of Representatives representative. I continue to feel, and I actually come back to this because sometimes I get just so tired of it. But we, especially now, we have to call those senators and representatives every single day. Um, because even our Democratic representatives are not always doing the right thing, and they're not fighting for us hard enough, in my opinion. Um, and the senators are just forget it. Bud is a complete waste of time. But we have been calling him every day. They've started hanging up on us when they answer the phone at all, which I think is a good sign because I think that, they're hearing a little too often the truth, and I think it's pissing them off. Um, so please keep calling the senators. Please keep calling your representative, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. But back to the idea that we don't all have to be doing the same thing. I think that's really kind of the genius of democracy out loud, is we understand that everybody is going to be called to do whatever it is that they do. And as long as we can keep informing each other about what is going on, the more we know, the more we are impelled to act. That is so true. And the problem is not enough people understand what's going on. So we have to build power. We really have to build power now by there being more and more and more of us who understand what's going on. Um, I love what you said, Laura, before everyone came on about talking on Halloween to the other trick-or-treater parents or whatever it was that you were doing. That's exactly right. And it's so interesting that maybe the hardest thing is the most important thing, which is just talk to people, talk to friends, talk to relatives, talk to strangers, because people are watching Fox News or they're following the algorithms in social media or they're tuning out. And I think the most important thing is that we build power by one at a time bringing people into this movement. It was so thrilling that we had 7 million people, the most people of any peaceful protest in US history. So powerful. How many do we need? Almost twice that many. And how do we organize around that? Well, again, we're not all going to do the same thing. Um, some of us can organize those street protests, and some of us are doing other stuff. And trusting each other that we're each doing what we can do, I think is really important because we're all so different. Um, and we're all being so traumatized by what's happening now. I think just getting up in the morning, every single person on the planet right now is pushing against a tremendous amount of, I call it dark energy. The whole planet is undergoing a huge shift. We're trying to get rebalanced. We've been so out of balance. We're trying to flip things. And I don't know. I don't know if we can do it. I really don't know if we can do it. But I know that our responsibility is to keep pushing um, by not giving in to this bullshit, really, right? Not not giving in to the idea that some people need to be rich and some people need to be poor, that it's okay for people to pay $7.25 an hour, for corporations to make $400 billion um, in profits while they're not paying taxes, that it's okay for our elected representatives to do what they're doing right now. We just have to keep firm in the truth and what we know is moral. I love that about Reverend Barber. He just always talks about um, this violence against people, it's policy violence. Poverty is policy violence. And so to keep backing up, and see the roots of the suffering. And the roots are really how this whole country was founded, right? On genocide and slavery. And that's exactly what's going on now. So how do we help people see that? How do we help people to be so grounded that we can speak the truth with love, um, that we can be a compassionate community and take care of each other? Because clearly no one else is going to take care of us. I want to show these films that I have from times that I went to Washington. And I hope that I can get them because I couldn't. There they are. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share. And I'm really hoping that there'll be a lot more of this now. This is all during the first few years of the Trump administration. And probably the most powerful thing that I ever experienced was in the Hart Senate office building during the Kavanaugh hearings. During the Kavanaugh hearings, hundreds of women would walk through the Senate office buildings every single day, and we would tell stories of rape. Some women were telling their stories of being raped for the first time. And one at a time, we would go to the Senate offices and tell these stories and plead with senators not to vote for Kavanaugh. And this culminated in the Hart Senate office building atrium when over 300 of us got arrested. And I want you to see the energy in this clip.
This is what democracy looks like. What democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
Okay, so understand that there were also thousands of women outside the building. And when we would have these mass arrests, which happened a lot, when there were enough of us, like hundreds of us, they would just put us in a park and give us a ticket that we would have to pay. There were some other arrests that were not so simple, but our protection was in our numbers. Our protection was in our numbers. And you know, now ICE has $145 billion. And Trump has made it clear that it's not just undocumented people, but also Antifa that he's going after. Our protection is in our numbers. That's why we have to keep building our numbers. Okay, so this is in Union Station, and it's during the impeachment hearings. And these amazing, brilliant organizers made this incredible scroll of the articles of impeachment. And watch this. Okay, Trump is a criminal. We, the people, are the only ones who have the power to take him down, is what she said.
Take him down! These senators won't do it unless we make them.
These senators will not do it unless we make them. Same thing with SNAP. Same thing with healthcare. Same thing with every single thing we want. These senators, these representatives will not do it unless we make them. I think that's really clear now.
Make them! Get fierce! Get angry!
Get angry. Where is your fury?
Shut shit down! Take things over! Disrupt business! Take space! Take action! Shut shit down!
Okay, and then this was a much more common thing, and we did this a lot. We would go to the Senate and House office buildings and get arrested, you know, in the rotunda or in the senators' or representatives' offices. But again, I want you to see the energy in this clip.
Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. What do we want justice? When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Healthcare. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Healthcare. We want it.
Okay. Sorry, I gotta figure this out so I can come back to you. Okay, there we go. Okay. Um, yeah, so over time, people got stronger, and more determined, I think. And that's what we got to do now. All of those times that we went to Washington and got arrested, built our resolve. And we kept learning. Right now, a big part of what Democracy Out Loud does is we're tuning into the General Assembly and trying to disrupt that particular system of violence. And, yes, these systems are very powerful. Yes, they are consolidating their power in every way possible. And at the same time, we, the people, are also, I believe, waking up. And we, the people, are the only hope, really, for the planet, for the environment, for poor people, to curb somehow the billionaires' power, to disrupt this very fast movement into autocracy that is global, not just in this country. So what we have to do is we have to learn how to tune into some of the more subtle signals that we are hearing and feeling. Now, the brilliant organizers who did all the stuff that I showed you in Washington, D.C. during the Trump administration, I believe they've mostly had to go underground. Because they were so prominent and so effective. So it's up to us now. It's up to us, the second wave of protesters. And what kind of brilliance can we bring? You saw a little bit of the kind of brilliance that they brought. We just have to have a lot of courage, I think, now. And I know that you understand this. I know that you understand that a lot of us are older white people who are the people who are going to have to take the risks. And I don't know what that's going to look like now. It's really one day at a time. And we're going to have to figure it out together. And we have a lot of history to learn from. There's this one thing, which is I'd just like to encourage you all to get our newsletter. Because it's not so great. Your newsletter has a lot more information, but our newsletter, because it's been going on so long, it has a very large circulation. And I always feel like there's going to be a moment where we all have to be at the same place at the same time. I don't know when that moment will be. I don't know where it is that we're going to have to be, but that's part of my thinking about the newsletter.